because he's got power. So it's like, this is one of the rare baseball moves. I'm like, oh no, this one makes sense. He's great. He's flashy. He makes an irrelevant franchise relevant. He's going to sell a ton of merchandise. And they're signing him when he's a kid.
They're going to get his best years.
Yeah.
They're getting his prime years, which is not usually what you get.
No,
you usually get it after. You get the big deal after you have those amazing years.
Yeah, it works that way in baseball a lot of times. You get paid when you're like middle or near the end of your prime. You could argue this will be his first year in his prime. Mm-hmm. And in baseball primes, unless you're a pitcher, baseball primes last about 7 to 8 years. So that's over half the
27.
Contract. Yeah, 27.
You're getting up there, and then hitting the peak, and then 30s.
So good for them.
Yeah.
All right, so let me just talk about Carson Wentz has been traded to the Colts. And I saw this stat just a little bit ago. With the Wentz trade, there is now not a single quarterback drafted in the first round from 2009 to 2016 that is still with its original team. So that's 0 out of 22. Meaning quarterbacks in the NFL are now like every other player. They get moved. The NFL's never been a bigger business. And when businesses get big, there's a lot more pressure. And when there's more pressure, people move off stuff quicker. So you got two things happening in the NFL. Everything's $1 billion now. There's no more $1 million teams. It's all $1 billion teams. There's more pressure on the GM. There's more pressure on the coach. And what's that mean? You're going to move off players. You got to win now. And, like Philadelphia, they got a Super Bowl, and that's why, that's going to very rarely does a coach get fired after that. And they had such a bad relationship between GM and coach, they fired the coach. But it's a win-now league. And we've always understood that. But I think more than ever, build it to win now and deal with salary cap and draft picks, figure it out later. So 22 quarterbacks drafted first round from 2009 to 2016, none are with their teams. And it's become a very transactional league. And if you're not good, it doesn't mean your career's over, but people are going to move off you. And people have moved off players in the NFL forever. They just didn't move off quarterbacks. They didn't hit the market. Now they hit the market. It's funny. At the start of the year, I can remember going on a rant. Joy was here. I went on a rant in like August, and I'm like, we're getting to a saturation point. There's like 3 teams that need a quarterback. But by the end of this year, Breeze is going to retire. Big Ben should. Wentz dovetailed. And you look up and you're like, 9, 10 teams need a quarterback. So, and there's not 9 or 10 guarantees on the market. Wentz has injury history. Mariota does. Sam Darnold has regressed. I mean, Dwayne Haskins, is he a bust? Pittsburgh signs him. You cross your finger. You got all these rookie quarterbacks. People can say whatever they want, but Wentz, to me, is actually the surest thing on the market because Garoppolo can't get to week 3 without injuries. Darnold's regressed. Mariota can't stay healthy. You have no idea with the rookie quarterbacks. The 2 quarterbacks in all the available quarterbacks that I feel strongest about are Trevor Lawrence out of Clemson. He's going to be great. And then Carson Wentz, who was great and just needs to be tweaked. So, you got 9 teams need a quarterback. The 2 surest bets, the Colts just got one. The Jags will get the other. There you go. By the way, I saw a story this morning that I just rolled my eyes. We do this all the time. Multiple teams, according to a report, have Zach Wilson, the BYU quarterback, ahead of Trevor Lawrence. Talk to the hand. Stop. We did this with Zion. Good God. Zion was a guaranteed number 1. He just physically looked different. He can't shoot. He's fat. I don't know. It's a point guard league. I said the same thing. He's going to walk into the NBA and be a top 20 player by the end of his first year. Don't outthink your eyes. Zion is 6'7", 285. Most of your centers are Euros. They don't want to take a charge. My only question was, can he get to be better at the free throw line? Because like Karl Malone, he's going to live at the free throw line. He is going to live at the free throw line because he initiates contact on every play. And aggressive offensive players generally get the calls, so do stars. So he's going to live at the free throw line. By the way, he's already shooting 7.5 free throws a night, and he leads the NBA easily in points in the paint. So he has become exactly what I thought, which was 24 a night, live at the free throw line, initiates contact. There's a rule in sports. Don't outthink your eyes. Zion in a skinny league with a bunch of centers that wear skinny jeans, he is thick and aggressive and initiates contact. And as long as he can hit 75% of his free throws, he's going to give you 24 points a night. That's exactly what he's doing. Don't outthink your eyes. Trevor Lawrence, don't outthink your eyes. He's bigger than Zach Wilson. He's stronger than Zach Wilson. He runs better than Zach Wilson. He's got a better arm than Zach Wilson. He played better competition than Zach Wilson. The ball comes out of his hand faster than Zach Wilson. Don't outthink it. He's better than Zach Wilson. You got crazy town. Just you Zion, Trevor Lawrence. We pick all these kids apart. It's funny about this. As a broadcaster, I didn't feel I knew what the hell I was doing until I was like 33. You expect all these athletes at 22 to be these refined. It's not the way it works. We picked apart Andrew Luck. We picked apart Zion. We're picking apart Trevor Lawrence. They're kids. Good God, they're kids. Let them mature. They say your brain doesn't fully develop as a boy until you're 24. So let them grow a little bit. Andrew Luck went to Stanford. He made some of the dumbest throws his first 2 years in the league because he's a kid. And the game's fast. And the NFL's way faster than college. And the NBA's faster than college. And it takes you a year or two to catch up to the speed of the game. It's like AAA baseball to the bigs. You're like, oh, it's one step. No, you get to the 8th best pitcher on a major league staff, and he's your first or second best pitcher on a AAA staff. There are no easy hits in Major League Baseball. Everybody's throwing 94, and the ball moves with everybody, or you stay in AAA. All right, let's go to Dwight Freeney, who's going to be a first-ballot Hall of Famer. 16 years, 7 Pro Bowls, 11 years with the Colts. He is now joining us live. Super Bowl champ as well. Well, Dwight, the Colts made a little move today.
Yeah.
I love it. I feel the same way. It's interesting. The Colts aren't known for big, splashy moves. But they're going out there. Carson Wentz, he regressed. Are you concerned at all, Dwight, that he did regress last year? It's some bad tape on him.
Well, this is what I've always said. It's about system. The system that you play in, who's calling the plays for you, builds comfort, builds confidence. What he did with Frank in 2017, I think he had like 33 touchdowns or whatever, and less than 10 interceptions. He had a great statistical year. It's no surprise that Frank wanted to bring him in because they gelled together very well. It's no different when I was talking about Phillip Rivers. When Phillip, the year before he went to Indianapolis, he had like 20 interceptions or something like that, didn't have a great year. Then he goes into a system where Frank really understands Phillip because he was with him in San Diego, and they have a good statistical year.
It's funny. The Colts culture is a little like Green Bay. They're not going to get into bidding wars. They're going to ask you to suppress your ego. They're going to coach you hard. Do you think Wentz psychologically fits? You were not pampered there. Dwight, you're a Hall of Fame player. Even Peyton, they'll coach you hard in Indy. They're not going to pamper you in Indy. There's a lot of stories out there that Carson doesn't like to be hard coached. What do you make about that? Because Indy has their own culture.
No, absolutely. But you got to understand, this is different eras. Okay, we're talking about Bill Polian, Tony Dungy 15 years ago culture of the NFL and what it was then to what it is now. Okay, and Frank, yes, he takes a little bit of that, but I'm sure he has a little bit of that success in what happened in Philadelphia and kind of injected it into the new Colts, culture. And I'm not exactly sure how they coach. But I'm sure it's not how it used to be back in the day where you can just take a quarterback's head off, right? And you could be violent and be intimidating on defense and the same thing on the offensive game. So I think the culture is probably going to be similar to what he's used to. He spent a lot of time with Frank. Frank is going to be the guy who probably is going to be coaching him the most, all right? So you have to understand there's a lot of familiarity there. And I think that the system that they're in is going to breed for success. So I'm not really worried about the culture per se. Back in the day compared to now, yes, but this is now, and it's going to be completely different.
By the way, second most sacks in Colts history. He's going to be a Hall of Famer. The great Dwight Freeney is joining us. I want to talk about J.J. Watt's on the market. And I want you to talk as you aged, and I've said this before. There are times I've criticized an athlete, rarely, but it's a money grab. I always use Robinson Cano went from the Yankees to the Mariners. I'm from Seattle. I know he didn't want to play for the Mariners. He wanted the money. And about a year into it, he's like, get me the hell out of here. I want to go win games. So there are times when you're like,